Good morning, guys. Christmas week. I'm going to change things up a little bit today. I'm going to have a more in-depth talk about various tools that worked, more particularly the blades, and those that worked but didn't. But we'll get into that. We'll get into the pros and cons of kind of each blade that we brought with us. Kicker here is brought with us. I'm going to give you a quick little walk around now and then just a summary at the end of the day, because it's just walls every day. We're kind of in that stage now where it's just kind of piling it all on. Okay, let's get to it. Okay, Joseph and the guys have got the headers ready for those two big 80 windows. The two lintels are down here. Because one is going to go up against another block, we had to recess the nut in there, which is okay. Again, we glue all of these and then pull them together, similar to what we've seen in some Indian videos. A quick description of tools before I start showing you the blades. In this case here, to put the rebar in, the guys prefer to use an angle grinder and use a tile blade to cut that in. Dusty is all tomorrow, but they prefer it. As far as the electrical boxes go, that's the multi-tool, hands down, no question about it. And we'll get into the blades here shortly. Let's see, the reciprocating saw. I thought that we would do more with the reciprocating saw for channeling and stuff. It's a little awkward. I think it's mostly a comfort level for the guys, because I'm fast at it. I don't see any issues at all. The multi-tool has been the tool as far as going up with electrical boxes and water and all of that type of stuff. The drill bits of choice have been spade bits or chisel bits. Prefer those hands down. They're cheap, you can replace them, and they're really easy to sharpen. I'll get into the cabinet bit, which has been if we'd have seen it earlier, has been hands down the tool that I would have used for all of these double input output for electrical, because it's such a big bit and it clears the material so quickly. We had a lot of fiddle farting around with trying to get two pipes up when you're working with, let's say a 1 inch or 1 1/4 inch spade bit. Just too awkward to work with. But they are fine for, doing the lintels and boring down for the rebar and the electrical. It's all worked out just fine for that when we're talking about electrical on the high end. So let's get down to the blades themselves now. Let's start with the actual power tools. Battery. I was only going to do battery. My problem with the power tools with the crew like this is that they have a tendency, it's either fully on or fully off. They don't understand throttling. They don't understand that in case of a drill, you push to put in, you push to pull out as well. And they don't get that. And it's been a real chore trying to teach it. The other thing is trying to make sure that they understand that when you're working with a thing like a drill and you've got a long bit like the ones that we're using, left-handed, so you can get that thing up against your hip, and if it kicks, you don't break your wrist. Almost had one guy lose his wrist yesterday. I said, "Why are you doing it? I just taught you how to do that." Aye, because Lynn keeps saying. I've kind of taken it over though. But on batteries, in the kit, the multi-kit, came two batteries, one of 1.5 milliamp and the other one of 4 milliamp. In a second kit that we bought, we had an opportunity to have a 1.5 or a 4 with another impact drill. I should have bought the 4 milliamp. It's okay rotating those smaller ones, but your charge cycles, they really do a number on them. Anyway, if I were to do it again, two 4 milliamp batteries And if your kit came with a smaller one, so be it. Now, the small batteries have been fine for the impact tool where they're drilling and doing all of that kind of stuff. We're doing all the form work. 1 milliamp battery lasted the whole day. No problem at all. But when it comes to doing all of these cuts and the drilling all the way through 60 centimeters, you need that 4 milliamp battery, especially if you want to do multi cuts. Okay, let's get to the blades and bits themselves. What were failures and what worked? Let's start with what didn't work. Regular handsaw. The blade, the teeth were okay. This isn't stiff enough, guys. It wanders all over the place, and that's why we recommend you ordering 2 of the AAC saws from the distributor. This saw blade is much thicker, much stiffer. What didn't work going through? Concrete bits. First off, you couldn't get them big enough. Hole saws didn't work. Okay, now these are for wood, so I would have thought that they may be held up, but we also didn't really have much application for that. Let's get into what did work. Let's start with the one that we discovered late in the game, and that is these cabinet drill bits. They shed really well. Gives you a little bit better idea of those teeth, how sharp they were. I still recommend them. I would still buy them, even though they're a little expensive. Buy one of these kits, guys. Okay, buy one. They come in handy, so handy. But let's get into these blades. Touched on the batteries already. Spade bits, chisel bits, whatever you want to call them. Easy to sharpen. Easy, easy, easy. Just need a file. Boom. You can buy these files here locally too. And so you can keep these going. They weld easily onto a piece of rebar. You just need a good welder that can line up things so that it doesn't go wobble, wobble, wobble. Now this cabinet bit here was wonderful. The only drawback to it has been that the teeth wore off on the outside too quickly and this guide isn't big enough. If it had a guide more like this chisel bit, I'll bet you we would still be using this one. We may still play with this. As you heard yesterday, I like hacking things, and so we may just try and put a couple of tack welds on the inside of that and see if we might sharpen it up a little bit. The kicker seems to be with these blades is, and I don't have one here, is the reciprocating saw blade that's for wood. Now, I'm a little surprised, but it did not hold up, guys. Didn't hold up at all. And even though these teeth do bind material on them, you just take a few seconds and to get the material off. It's easy peasy. But the bimetal blades were the kicker. And I think it's because they can also handle going through a nail. So that means that they should be able to handle aerated concrete. And then that leads into the bimetal blades for the multi-tool. And that has been the godsend for putting in electrical boxes and other surface mount stuff that you want to get in. Now, in the case of electrical boxes, we have been, managing quite well. So, our distances have been such that we can, cut, and then on the underside before we put the block in. There have been other instances, I can't see one quickly and close by, but where we've had to, say, do it in the center, and all you have to do is cut your square and then and then break, and it's easy to get it in and out of. Tool management, that has been some of the harder stuff. Getting the power tools back, that's pretty easy. They're big, they're bulky, all that sort of thing. But we have been anal retentive about making sure that the guys give us our tools back every day. What has been a little bit frustrating, even though we tell them, bring the tools back, bring the tools back, bring the tools back, they've been pretty good about that. However, tool management in the field has been a whole other thing. Let's have a look at this. As much as our crew has been very good working with them, having a good time, all of that kind of stuff, they're open to learning new ideas. Some of them are rooted in their old ways, and we just get them to do those things. But, as an example, all 4 of these things, they were inside here with the electrical tape. And see, I'm about to go ballistic on Michael because see, he just buries and drops stuff everywhere. Michael, guess where you left this, you little twit?
In the back?
Yeah, you little moron. Aye. Okay, you can tell we have a good time, guys, but you know, it's, I take it back and put it in my kit.
It's already.
Yeah. As you can tell, we have some fun with it and all that sort of thing, but I have to do that, guys. My engineering head would explode in Canada, and it used to explode in Canada, and I'm not living that life anymore. As you've heard from many of my videos, let it go. I still have my moments. This old carcass wants to end this talk of tools and staff and all that sort of thing with a conversation that Lynn and I had early last year, and that was when we let our architect go, the main one. We tried another one, and we were seeing the same kind of garbage. But I said to Lynn, if we're going to self-manage this thing, this cannot be the hammer that we keep hearing from some vloggers out there on how they have dealt with their crew and you know, this whole chronic thing of they're lazy. Sorry guys, Western culture is lazy too. At least the difference between this old carcass and the new millennials. Oh, don't get me started. So we had a talk with the crew after they kind of got going. And again, Mary Lou and Uli had already vetted this crew. And we knew that they were being guided to a certain extent. But I wanted to drive it home. And so we did. And we said, we can have a lot of fun here, or I can just move on to another crew. I want to have fun with this project, guys, and we will have fun with you guys. I did not want to go down the path of, hey you, get to work. Didn't want to go there. That's just too stressful. And as much as I just pointed out, you know, this and that, the ability to have fun with something when it's also irritating doesn't leave me all shredded up. And that was the key when Lynn and I, like I say, started talking about doing this build. If we're going to self-manage it, not only was she going to have to step up big time on the translation and such, but it was going to be more about, you know, when we start the house, are we going to keep this crew? We know they have flaws. We know this, we know that. What are we going to do about it? So we decided not to do the hammer. And I understand you got to keep an eye, but if you've ever managed a crew before, and I've done it most of my life, everywhere in the world, I don't know how many times I had guys running off to HR going, or safety issue. Now just stop work. It's crazy. Anyway, it is what it is, and that's what this whole carcass is adjusting. I want a different life here, living 2 lives in this old carcass. Lynn's already got designs for this concrete area for some plants. It's what they do, guys. It's what they do. Okay, so this wall is up to the last course. Victor is our guy. He is going to do the top layering here. He's got the patience. He's doing everything correct. He doesn't deviate from being meticulous. And so we will put him doing all of these top rows around the whole house. We will shift some of our crew to doing these posties that are going to be exposed, similar to what the guys are doing out front. And finally, we're up to doing the last course now on the CR, the ensuite CR, and Michael and the guys are getting the headers ready to put in. Stay tuned for the video that I'm going to do on where did we use rebar in here. because again, my attention to doing this work in the beginning was very heavy on the hands-on stuff, and I wanted to make sure that things were going to get done right. So I missed a few things in the videos for you guys, but I'm going to do a part 2 for today, and you guys can scoot in and find out how much steel did we use in this build. Later, Gators.